I have a new build video for you today, slash something I found out that's probably not supposed to be in the game. First, I'm going to go over the build video, then I'm going to show you some stats that are a little broken in the game. So I had some crazy, really cool ideas for a nice Devastator Anomaly build. I'm going to go over some of the stuff and the ideas I had, and then the reason why it became even more broken. And I'm going to show you live me changing some things that's going to show you how broken some of the stuff is that you can do with this build. So first, I'm going to show you this little idea I had, and then how I implemented it in this build. And in this build by itself, without the extra stuff I'm going to show you later, was able to gold chem plant. It's very, very tanky, does a good amount of damage, not a whole lot, but it does a really good amount of damage. You can see the base anomaly power is pretty high, and then now I'm going to go over some of the build. And the main idea I had was on the first three things I'm going to show you. So first I'm going to show you the gun. You can see the first shot after every reload hits with 30% more armor piercing. The gun already has 30% armor piercing also on it. And you're like, why are you telling me that? This is an anomaly build. Well, there's a little trick to that. There is unstoppable force on this mask that I put. Increases your anomaly power by 50% of your resistance piercing. Now you're like, why are you telling me about resistance piercing when you just told me about armor piercing? Is because of this mod. No resistance against the fortified. Increases your resistance piercing by 50% of your armor piercing value. So, what ends up happening? You have more anomaly power based upon your resistance piercing. And I'm going to show you how to puzzle piece this little theory together. So you want a bunch of resistance piercing, right, to increase your anomaly power. Then, if you have some armor piercing, you gain more resistance piercing. How do you get more armor piercing? That way you also have more resistance piercing. This gun already has armor piercing, and the first shot after every reload hits with 30% more armor piercing. So the idea behind this is you shoot, reload, and now I should have 60% armor piercing. It's not in my class tree, which I'll show you in a moment. 60%. So now you can see that bump that up, and just that one shot, increasing my armor piercing, increased my anomaly power. So that gets a little crazy, right? I mean, that's a small, tiny, little thing that makes up the difference of the build. So there's a couple other mods in the build I'm going to go over now that just add up the rest of it, and then I'm going to show you how to break it absolutely above and beyond. So you understand those three mods, the idea that I was trying to base this build around, and how to make it have a ton of resistance piercing. So you can see Anomaly Echo already came on the Anomaly's Visage Mask. I put Unstoppable Force, which is a tier 3. Then I have one more Impale, and then Move Groove. Move Groove is not your best option, but it was a good option because you're always on the move. You're extremely tanky. It was quite helpful. And then the first mod that I already showed you, the long range damage could be something else. But again, this video's purpose is actually for what I'm going to show you after I'm done with all this. Rejuvenation, you're always healing. I felt like this was extremely helpful because you get anomaly power and armor. This procs often in between using Golem. Then one more Earthquake, melee skill. Melee skill is extremely important, the cooldown of it, and I will also show you why for that. It's very, very, very important. You don't have to run that, but I felt like this was going to make an absolute huge difference, and you'll see why here in a moment. Then damage against bleeding targets. Again, with the melee, you always apply bleed. That is going to be your main source of application for bleed, but again, I'm going to show you a little bit more as to why. And Untamed Power, I don't feel like that's probably the best option there either, but there's a lot of problem with boots not rolling with the right mods here or there. So now I'm going to show you the broken side of things and what I accidentally found out by trying to swap out pieces of gear. So you see all these different ones. We can even go over some of the skills. You can see I'm using, you already know these two, and I said gold. So now I'll go over the class tree. The reason why I said the melee was very important. It applies bleed. So you see anomaly power, seismic skills, he's using 2 of them. Anomaly power, and then whenever you activate Golem, you're going to get a large amount of anomaly power, and then the protection cooldown for the Golem. This is another reason why the melee was very important. Because you're applying bleed, you get the extra damage for bleed, which there is a mod for 25% more damage to bleeding targets that I don't have that you could have there as well. Just keep that in mind. But you're going to increase your resistance piercing after meleeing each enemy by 15%. So you run up on a group of enemies, melee all of them by the ground slam, the sprinting melee. You get 15% for every enemy hit. So just hitting one enemy, you only need 85% armor pierce or resistance piercing base. So this stacks up really fast, breaks 100%. You're like, well, why would you want to break 100%? There's another reason why, and I'll explain that in a moment. So you get the base resistance piercing, anomaly power, more seismic cooldown, anomaly power, increased damage by 20% against enemies below 30% health. This is extremely, extremely powerful with Impale. Enemies like big guys that are elites that are a little harder to kill, take a little longer. Whenever they get in that low threshold, you can proc Impale, and a lot of times it will just execute them. Anomaly power. The bleed damage here and the bleed damage here are not necessary, nor is this, but I felt like they really, really, really helped a lot. This is absolutely necessary. Increase your armor bonus by 40% of your anomaly power, and again, I'll show you why. Increase armor and resistance. This is very helpful whenever your golem ends. You'll have a little bit of resistance and armor, more resistance piercing, and then of course seismic skills-based damage. So let's go over the most broken part of what my idea ended up into, because this is not as I intended it. So I'm going to show you my base stats with no buffs. This is actually a buff from moving. I'm going to let it wear off. It's not wore off yet. Just to ensure that you know all of my stats exactly as they are. Now this is still the first shot, so that is, let's do this then. So now you should see 172,000 is my lowest base anomaly power with no buffs whatsoever. So we're going to raise that to 300k by doing one thing. We're also going to look at this number, resistance piercing, and armor piercing. 30% from the gun, 45% from everything else I just showed you. So those two numbers, remember those two numbers. We're going to change some of my gear, and this is a part that I figured out by accident. So that no resistance against the fortified. Red, right? We're going to change it. And we've already got it on that one. We're going to go here, we're going to change this one. No resistance against the fortified. Oh, it's red. Change that one. Okay. Why would you do that? It makes no sense at all, right? Well, I'm going to show you why. See it raised, right? These are red. They're not supposed to work together. Look at that. How'd that happen? I don't know. That doesn't make any sense, right? Well, it's because they're stacking. So what happens now when you do this? One shot, reload. 215k. Because we got the armor piercing increase from the first shot and the 30% from the gun. The more armor piercing, armor piercing we have, which means we gain more resistance piercing. So now, 119%. Now, why would you want to break 100%? It makes no sense, because at 100% is the highest buff that you could get. Like, you're going to bypass all of the resistance they have at 100%. Well, the reason why you wouldn't want to break 100% is because this. The more resistance piercing you have, the more anomaly power you have. The more anomaly power you have, the more damage you have. So, I thought even maybe we could change this piece too, just to really fluctuate the number. Why not? And then we'll apply all the buffs. Let's see where it goes from there. Let's take this bleed damage off. Let's really just push it all the way. Oh. Okay, I don't know what's happening there. You can even see that untamed power jumped up. 232k base. Let's just make sure that that was actually on there. I'm pretty sure it still was on there. Yeah, 232k base with this buff. So now what we're going to do is we're going to apply all the buffs to this at the same time. So we're moving. The only one that we're not getting is rejuvenation. That's only 7,000 extra, but I'm sure it does scale off that quite a bit. 334,000 anomaly power. You can also see 150% resistance piercing. Again, 100% is all you're really going to benefit from, but the more you have, the more anomaly power you get. Now let's look at the skills. 400,000. It's going to deal a lot more damage than that. After all the factors come into play, it's going to hit really, 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 really hard. So I think that this absolutely should be patched. I just want to let everybody know that this is not me trying to show out some kind of exploit. This is obviously, there's something wrong with this. Do I believe that you should run this? I think the Devastator already is super weak. It doesn't really matter here. You could gold some stuff with this. The Fortress shotgun builds are probably much stronger than this. But this was a lot of fun to use. Again, this should definitely be patched. I don't think this is a proper thing. I don't know if there's other things that stack the way this one does. They definitely shouldn't. If you guys liked the video, definitely hit the like button. Let me know of any other things that maybe you found out that are similar to this. Maybe if you liked the original build before all of this exploit type thing was added to it and you tried it out. Maybe if you like that, let me know. But yeah, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you.